What is up, geeks and geekettes? It's another episode of the Countdown to the Geekcast. My name is Steady. With me on this episode is the man, the myth, the legend, you know him as JC.
Hey, everybody.
And we also got the man behind the magic, the one and only Joe Garcia.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm excited because the Cowboys continue to win and mesmerize us all. I don't know how they were able to pull out this miraculous win on Sunday, but I'm just gonna roll with it. I mean, look at what happened with JC's team. They're riddled with injury right now, so I'm hoping that they can go ahead and pull it back together because I know they'll be there for the playoffs. But JC has his eyes set on something much higher than just the playoffs.
We have had it set that way since the beginning of the year. And honestly, we got the schedule at the right time to kind of handle that. And I think Henry can come back for the stretch run. But I'll share more of my thoughts on this Wednesday or this Thursday when it comes out, Sports Minorities Podcast. Be sure to check that out.
Sports minorities, what is that, JC? Go and tell us, man.
That is a group of buddies of mine and I. Last year just got kind of bored. We always love talking shit about each other's football teams. And so we decided to start a podcast. We did video last year and we're doing audio. And we just season long make our NFL picks. Whoever's got the most, whoever has the best record on them at the end of the regular season, we each pay him $20. So lots of fun, lots of shit talking about our favorite teams. It's great. And I'm gonna have a tough pick this week about my Titans because going to play the Rams, who are loading up for their own Super Bowl run. It's all or nothing for them, and Tennessee's hit with injuries, but it's always a fun time. Check it out wherever you get your podcast. You can also find it on YouTube, Sports Minorities, where we just load the audio versions on there as well. So,
All right, you're not the only guy on the show with a sports talk show. Joe,
Yep.
when is Two Shots going live again?
We usually go live on Tuesdays and on Thursdays, but I think this week we're going to go on Thursday. And I'm going to probably be recording an episode of Locked on Spurs with our good friend Jeff Garcia
Jeff,
sometime this week. So probably maybe Wednesday or even tomorrow. He usually hits me up Tuesdays or Wednesdays. So look out for new episodes of Two Shots Podcast where we talk about San Antonio Spurs and also anything that's going on in the sporting world. And we also kind of dive into a little bit of geek talk as well and talk about, some of the stuff that's big right now in the entertainment world.
we need to have Jeff back on. It's been a minute. Jeff,
Yeah.
wherever you're at, sir, we need to have you back on.
If you're gonna talk, if you want Jeff back on, we're gonna have to force him to talk about Star Wars, man, especially the new trilogy. We've got to dive deep in that rabbit hole with him.
I think
I
we
don't
need to
wanna piss
just
the guy
no.
off.
We need to
It's fine.
what is it? Counter losses, cut our losses, whatever it is. We need to just let that ship sail. Jeff is never going to watch the sequel trilogy. He's never
He's
going to
watched
watch it.
the first two of that. He just hasn't
You
watched the
you need to
finale.
let it go. He's not going to do it. We can't force him to. You
Let
couldn't
it
pay that
go.
man to
Let
watch the
it
last Star Wars
go.
movie, and it's fine.
Can't
I
hold it
think I can
back
get a couple drinks in him, and then he'll watch it here in the studio.
You would have
After
to
a while.
lie to him and say you're gonna watch something like really good, like I don't know, Ghostbusters, and then tie him down to his chair, and then have them actually put on the last Star Wars movie, and then that's the only way it's gonna work. Jeff, shout out to Jeff, who's been on the show before. Miss you, buddy. Hope to talk to you soon. And you know what? We'll probably talk to him, especially when Boba Fett comes out. And this is the Geekcast, even though we've been talking about all of our other shows that are going on. This is the Geekcast, the weekly show where we talk about DC Comics, Marvel, TVs, movies, anything and everything in between. And we have another great show for you guys. We're going to be talking about the Boba Fett, I'll call it a teaser trailer, I think. Not a whole lot of plot kind of given out in this one, but we're going to discuss the Boba Fett teaser trailer that was released today, and we're also going to get into some geeky weekly headlines, and especially episode 4 of Young Justice. If you are just tuning in, we are going to be talking about the season 4 of Young Justice each and every week because it's just that good, and we're very excited to talk about it this week, especially because some predictions I had last week came true. I don't know if you guys caught the episode Jericho and I did last week. JC, were you on last week's show as well?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, you were.
Forget about
So
me.
you so you know what I'm already talking about. And
Yeah.
then yeah, I'm gonna ask you guys all about that. Some predictions I had came true. It was a very dramatic, very big episode. But first, happy late Halloween to everyone. I know we kind of did our Halloween show last week in our outfits and costumes and whatnot, except for Jericho, who didn't do anything. But I want to actually talk to you guys first how your Halloween went, other than the sports that happened, because I know that was probably half of it. JC, tell us what you and the family did for Halloween. What did you guys dress up as? Let us know.
First of all, it wasn't just sports. It was actually a sports equinox yesterday. If you don't know what that is, that's where every single one of the four major sports leagues and a few others had some meaningful games. NBA regular season, NHL regular season, NFL Sunday, and then of course the World Series for Major League Baseball.
Right.
I'll talk
Other
about
than
that some
sports,
other
though.
leagues.
Other
Other
than
than
sports.
that, though, I'm still recovering. Yes. My neighborhood goes nuts. We do a party here. My sister, her family come over. My parents came for this, and we set up a little shrimp boil. I grilled some salmon. Got the
Wow.
kids all dressed up. So obviously, like what started last year was like a COVID thing where we would just get like little baggies and pack like I don't know 5 or 6 pieces of candy in a baggie and just hand those out. It's easier. We got 200 baggies of candy and they were all gone by the end of the night. That's how great this neighborhood is for trick or treating. It's amazing. So uh, kids were so loaded on candy. My daughter couldn't decide which one she wanted today as opposed to a snack. But everyone's pretty tired. Everyone's still recovering. I don't know how I got through the workday today. I don't know how my wife did either because she's still pretty tired. So, but it was a lot of fun. It was a blast, and it went really well. It wasn't as many people. Well, last year there wasn't a whole lot of people because of everything going on, but it was good to see people out and about trick or treating, having fun again. And Tina and I got a lot of compliments on our costume as well. If you guys remember, Jimmy Dugan, and then she was a Rockford Peach. So League of Their Own comments and everything like that. So
Fantastic.
the best costume I saw was a guy in an inflatable. He looked like a balloon animal, big
Mm.
old inflatable balloon dog animal walking down trick or treating, which was hilarious. So that was the funniest one I saw. Yeah.
That's awesome. Joe, what about you, man? What did you and the family do? What did you dress up as? What did the family dress up as? Let us know.
Kind of dressed up as the Grim Reaper because it's a costume that I kind of had just here collecting dust, for quite some time. And I had made the mask for it. So I had still the cloak and I had made this staff of skulls and stuff that I used as a prop. So my sister-in-law threw a party for the family. So we all went out there and indulged in, some food and some fun there with the nieces and everybody, and my kids got to hang out with their cousins and we just it was just a family atmosphere, had a lot of fun hanging out with everybody. And then on Sunday we just kind of decorated here, cut grass and stuff, get ready for the kids, neighborhood kids coming out and getting their candy. And my kids dressed up, was my daughter dressed up as
For the
one of the
kids.
original
Kids
Winx
coming out.
Club members. So that was fun. It was a fairy. It's a cartoon she used to
All
watch when
right.
she was a kid. So she dressed up as one of the Winx Club girls and she was giving out candy to the neighborhood kids. I didn't dress up. I was watching the Cowboy game in my studio while I was still checking out on the kids, because I put a table out in the front for them with the little Bluetooth speaker on the stand and all that. And, just put lights and stuff out there so everybody could have a good time. And we saw a lot of cute neighborhood kids. I mean, there was one little boy, he came dressed as a fireman, looked really cute. We saw a couple of Harley Quinns, little girls dressed as Harley Quinn.
There was a
Uh,
bunch.
and yeah, and then we saw a couple of Hulks, some of the neighborhood kids, little
Saw a
ones
few of those too.
dressed as the Hulk. One of them came up to me and went, "Rawr." He got extra candy.
I saw
So
a few
yeah,
Obviously.
Boba Fett's actually, not Mandalorian, but Boba Fett's in the neighborhood. That was
yeah.
pretty cool. Yeah.
Wow.
And
Kids as
Impressive.
well. Kids as
one of
well.
my
Impressive.
neighbors dressed up as Eeyore. She was walking around the neighborhood in a onesie that resembled Eeyore, that had the hoodie and everything.
Mhm.
So that was pretty cute. She had her kid dressed as a little shark, like the baby shark.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. We had a very similar situation to JC. We actually pre-made uh, little goodie bags, and The wife, who thinks kids get enough candy already, decided to just give them like glow sticks and bracelets and all these little knickknacks. I just say, okay, it's fine. So we
Yeah,
made over 150 bags, and like you, they were gone in a few hours. So we ended up just giving kids like single glow sticks like at the end of the night because it's crazy. So great to see families out
yeah.
and kids out once again. It was a good feeling. We
We
put
went
together,
grand total. I think got Costco's open here because I got like
yeah,
4 big bags of candy plus some smaller ones from HEB, and all that was gone. Basically, grand total. So amazing. Now, I want to tell you guys, the last weekend, my daughter was in a softball tournament, and they were giving prizes out to the team that had the best dress up theme. My daughter's team got second place. They all dressed as little aliens from Toy Story. The coaches were like Woody, Buzz, and Bo Peep, and everything. It was hilarious. The team that won was, I think they were a 12U softball team. They all dressed as Harley Quinn, and the coaches were like Joker, uh, like Suicide Squad, basically. That was theirs to win, and it came out really well. So shout out to them for pulling off the Suicide Squad and everything like that. It was pretty awesome.
that's awesome. Do they have a king shark?
I think they did actually. Yeah. So
What?
yeah.
You're doing it right.
Obviously it didn't last the whole day because it got pretty hot. So it took the pictures and then let's coach and everything. But it was great to see a guy coaching with Joker pants on and the green hair and the mask all done up and everything like that. Was hilarious. Yeah.
Who are
You
these
could have
parents
those
who
little
let
characters.
these kids watch
Suicide Squad?
the Suicide Squad, which is they're both rated R, aren't they?
Probably,
Yikes!
but I think it's no different than parents letting their kids watch horror movies,
Huh,
Halloween Kills,
huh.
Yeah,
Are
see?
you
Okay,
calling out Jericho?
a little bit. If you're gonna call those parents out, you better call him out too.
It's
No, I'm just
fine.
saying. I don't care, but
Shout out to Jericho, where he's at.
yeah.
No, I said somebody should
Awesome.
have dressed at those characters from when King Shark was in that aquarium, that tank. They had those
Oh
little
God.
fish
Hey,
that try to bite him. Yeah.
Mhm.
that would have been awesome. Let's see. Our just real quick, our Halloween, we haven't done this in years. We put together a makeshift haunted house. People call them
Nice.
haunts nowadays. Do it in our garage. It's just like strobe lights. We're blaring like this creepy music in there. We have like plastic rats and crows and stuff we throw in there, and then just decorate the whole deal. Whatever. It's a twofold type deal. Number one, we get to have fun with it, with the kids and all that. They had a blast. The second part about why it's great because forces me to clean out my garage like at least once a year. So it's a good thing to do all the time. Funny story though, my son got occupied. He was going to be like our primary scarer person in the haunted house. He got occupied with some friends. They're in high school. It's not, whatever. So the hero of the day ended up being my pops, who by all just completely voluntary decided to put on a large dark trench coat and my Michael Myers mask, and he just went into this makeshift haunted house with a shovel in hand and just started scaring all the neighborhood kids. All decided upon by himself. I didn't ask him to do it. I didn't put him up to it. He just decided to do it. So, hero of Halloween is my pops, who
Awesome.
decided just randomly, I'm gonna go ahead and take over Halloween and scare all these kids. So we had a blast. He had a blast, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So glad to hear everybody had a good time. I pose a question out there in the chat. If you're watching this video right now, let us know. What was the best costume you saw this weekend? I saw a bunch of things for the first time I'd never seen before, and then I saw a bunch of favorites. We saw the Hulks, the Harley Quinns. My daughter flipped when this like 5-year-old boy walked up to our driveway in a Jack Skellington costume because
Nice.
she's all about the Nightmare Before Christmas right now. So she absolutely lost it and had a great time. All right, we're here to talk about episode 4 of Young Justice Phantoms, the fourth episode of the fourth season. and the most dramatic one so far. And it's so early in the season that we're in for a wild ride if this is how they're starting it. And I'm pretty confident in saying that, even though we said the same thing about Titans and it turned out the way we thought it would. But Young Justice is a whole nother animal. So, real quick, I'm gonna go through a quick summary of it, and then we're gonna get into the details of it all. But this will be pretty short because
Spoiler alert. Spoiler
spoiler
alert.
alert, major.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, pause this video right now. Go check out Young Justice, which is on HBO Max right now. The fourth episode just dropped on Thursday. All new episodes drop on Thursday. And we don't want to spoil any of them, especially this one. But here we go. Last warning. All right, here we go. Summary for episode 4 entitled Voluntary. We start out with Bioship saying goodbye to McGann, Connor, and Gar, as Beatty will take over transportation duties. The investigation into the king's death continues as the team identifies a potential suspect, a female Garoon posing as a Aashen. When this is delivered to Jem, it turns out to be his love interest, Surya. I forgot how to say her name.
Yeah.
Suraya, maybe. Turns out she accidentally killed the king when her magic powers went critical in a heated moment, emotional state. During a celebration for Ja'em, Ma'ala Fa'ak set the viral bomb received from the Sad, um, one of the henchmen for not Doomsday, Darkseid. And Connor's plan is to destroy the virus in a lava flow. Connor is able to destroy the virus canisters, but the bomb is laced with the bomb placed by an unknown figure was laced with kryptonite, and nothing after the explosion was left of Connor except for ashes on the wall. Ooh. JC, this was a very dramatic, intense episode, and we seemingly have lost one of our OG characters. But what are your overall thoughts about how the investigation to the king went, and then that dramatic ending?
Was it ashes or like a shadow in the lava? I couldn't tell
So
what
I
was.
had to watch it a second time.
Yeah.
I thought it was a shadow as well, but it's a line they threw out at the end of the episode that it was just ashes on a wall.
Oh my lord. All right. Well, I felt pretty much just like McGann did during the credits.
Oh
That's
Jesus!
been my favorite character this whole series, and now it's like I don't even know if I want to watch anymore because he's gone. Um, pretty dramatic, but I'm shocked that something like this happened so early in the season. So,
Right?
but we know Young Justice. Nothing is off the table as far as what can and will happen on this series. So, uh, as far as the investigation, I mean, the whole bait and switch thing. They mentioned this whole virus thing earlier, like we talked about it like very early, and didn't touch on it, and then it was like, oh yeah, we had this thing going on here. So, uh, smart terrorist, if you will, to lace with kryptonite because not even Superman could get down there. And then, of course, the Martians won't go down there because it's fire. So,
Yeah, they
uh,
couldn't.
no, they definitely could not. So, uh, I don't know. I'm just pretty sad, and I'm pretty shocked too that they pulled this off so early.
Absolutely, and especially since everything in the first 3 episodes has been like leading up to this. From this is why this show is so smart. Um, every single small detail or component is actually sort of called back and used in this episode. So even
Right.
like little marsupial that Gar started out as being in the first episode, and then like their tongue is so sensitive to smells and tastes and whatever. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, that ends up being the thing, the one of the things that decides who how they determine who killed the king. So it's like even that small little throwaway detail come back and it's used again. The magic, Connor not being able to regenerate his cells as
Yep.
well on Mars.
He's not near the sun. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and it's very intense. It's a heavy. It brings out your emotions when you're seeing Connor punch at the ground, trying to make a space or a hole large enough for this bomb to fall through, and his knuckles are bleeding. His
Yeah.
knuckles are being torn to shreds, and it's like that's a very intense and dark sort of visual. Just seeing Connor put himself through that in order to save everybody. Um, and then to go from the very happy, hilarious mid-credit scene from episode 3 to now the
Tis.
exact opposite mid-credit scene after episode 4. That's just like, oh my god, they're not letting you go.
And
They are relentless in how they want you to feel and what they want you to go through.
the long story short, they know how to mess with your emotions with these scenes.
Absolutely.
It's yeah. Um, God, I'm afraid to watch Thursday. I'm afraid to see what else happens because I'm just who else is going to die this season, you know? So it's I'm very interested to see. Like I theorized that if it was Connor, or I might have gone the other way, if it was McGann, if Connor's going to go back into a rage, and I wonder now if that's going to happen to McGann with Connor being gone. You know,
Quite possible.
if she's going to blame herself for wanting to go to Mars for this wedding, and that's the reason Connor's dead. You know, um, there's going to be a lot of emotional trauma she's going to be going through, and I wonder if that's going to be a threat to the rest of the team.
Joe, I'm not trying to leave you out, man. Did you get a chance to watch episode 4?
I haven't watched episode 4, but I've heard this before. I think it
Yeah.
was in the making of this particular series. Something had leaked out, and everything that y'all are talking about, I've kind of heard this before. I swear that this same scenario has played out, and fans were talking about this on social media a while back.
Interesting. I
I've,
don't know. I couldn't
I've
tell you.
avoided leaks at all costs, to be honest with you, but yeah, so
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. And also, I would say that's almost impossible because this show has less leaks than any other DC or Marvel movie or project in history. They don't drop anything. Nobody even knew the show was getting released when they released it. That's how hush hush this thing is.
I think
But
it
they
might have
haven't.
been something that happened with Young Justice, then a leak that came out because of a demise of let's say a beloved character in the
well
show.
It happened
that
before though.
happened in season 2, right? Who was it?
Yeah, end of 2.
Wally. Yeah,
Yeah, that's probably what.
Wally's death. I mean, that elicited the same emotions. Wally's death was just a shock, and this one to me especially really was too. Did not expect it. You know, I know we talked about. I was just in my head thinking, no, there's no way they can do that, and they did. You know, so yeah.
I wanted to go back and watch our episode from last week because I had felt, and I had said this outright, I felt like we were being set up for a big character death.
Yeah, you
And
did.
I did a coin flip and I said I'll go McGann. We already lost Wally. We haven't really lost any females, I don't think, on this show. You can even count Jason as somebody that we lost off
Yeah.
screen in the middle of in the middle of the break of a season. So between seasons. So I just figured like, okay, so McGann feels like where they're kind of leading towards, and we have Saturn Girl who can be the new skeptic, not skeptic, be the new psychic. She's very skeptical. And so I just did a coin flip and I said I'll lean McGann, but um I you know kind of still called it, being that even though it's episode 4, we were set up for a big loss, a big tragic loss. And even though we're talking about it this way, and even though it's been a very emotional few days for the Young Justice fans out there, um, I'm always going to now use the word be skeptical because, as JC has said many a times, there's no death unless you have a body,
Yeah.
and we don't have a body. Yes, we have ashes where a body used to be, um, but I figure in this type of show, this early in the season, anything is possible. So until you have a body, until there's like 100% irrefutable proof, I feel like there's going to be some shape, way, or form that Connor was either rescued or he was transported, possibly time traveled, or just teleported away
My
from that location.
my guess is it was one of the Legion,
Right.
because they were there, and then the last scene they have you didn't see him after like that critical scene where he's opening the hole in the floor. Like they could have easily whisked him away, and if they weren't able to save him, it was like Connor was a clone, right? You know, how do we know there's not other test tube versions of him out there?
Well,
But
it would
you
have
know,
to be another location of Luther's laboratory because that was the only
right?
one, and they rescued everybody, and now it's a safe
Yeah.
haven. For-
Now it's a safe haven, but if you know Luther's history and just about every iteration of DC, Superman, Smallville, or otherwise, he's got one hidden somewhere else, so, but I doubt it's going to go that route because you have to like rebuild the character all over again, whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm holding out hope that the three Legion characters, Saturn Girl, Phantom Girl, and Chameleon Boy are able to get him out, save him on some level, you know.
I think
But
so. And if you're watching right now, what's your theory? We want to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts on episode 4? And then what's your theory for the fate of Connor? It's again, I I'm not trying to ruin anything or spoil anything. I don't know what the future is going to hold, but there are, some red flags, some things to give you hope.
mm,
Uh we don't have a body. We don't have 100% irrefutable proof that something has happened to Connor. And so that leaves at least a little room for hope. And how they are going to try and explain it, I'm sure they've thought it out. And, we'll leave it at that. Who is
yeah.
this character in the sort of honeycomb translucent transport? Do we know who this is?
I'm assuming it's some. I have a feeling that's like some enemy that the Legion was tracking.
Ah, you're right, because they did
Yeah,
say that their time tracker went off, and then they said he's here. So
yeah. It would definitely explain why they've come back to this time and on Mars of all places too.
yeah,
Because we haven't even fully understood why they're there. Um, we've theorized it since the season 3 finale when we saw the ring at the very end. Okay, what is the Legion's involvement? And they haven't really said they're just on a mission. Um, but have a feeling whoever that character is, that's the Legion's main um,
objective.
enemy objective. Yeah. So, um, and if they're a time traveler like the Legion is, what are they trying to change?
Yeah.
What future event are they trying to change in their own time?
Thank you. You're in my you're get out of my head. Um because they're following this time traveler. I don't know who it is. If you know who this time traveler is, throw it in the chat, please, if you have a name. Um I first thought this was Desaad early on. I It kind of had his shape, or maybe it was the hood that we saw from the back view in the earlier episodes, and then we saw Desaad later on. So I'm like, oh, okay, it was Desaad. No, it's not Desaad. So this is somehow a time traveler, which, even though they placed the bomb,
Which is apocalyptian.
was
Connor
it?
Connor recognized the language on the bomb. He could tell it was apocalyptian tech.
Here's
So
what I'm trying to think about, and here's what I'm not willing to say, or I'm not willing to commit to just yet. Desaad gave Ma'alafa'ak the viral bomb,
mm,
right? And he says this is a viral bomb. He didn't say this is a virus container with no detonation device, right? So
I believe
this
so.
thing it had a timer on it. Okay,
Hmm.
so listen. This thing had a timer on it. This was the device that Apocalypse gave um,
Right.
Ma'alapa'ak. So this secondary person, this time traveler, I'm willing to say now that I've thought it through, is not working with Apocalypse. This
No.
bomb device has nothing to do with the viral bomb. His It seems like he just needed to place a kryptonite lace bomb there for a specific individual. And that individual would be Connor. So I think this was more of an assassination attempt
Unless
for
that
Connor.
bomb itself was the virus, but that mysterious figure is the one that added the kryptonite to it.
I don't think that was. See, this is going to be a big question. I
Yeah.
don't. I think that secondary device was also a bomb, and that was the thing laced with kryptonite.
Yeah. That would explain why Connor couldn't survive it and why Superman couldn't even save him.
Do we know
Almost.
that Connor has weakness to kryptonite?
I believe he carries kind of both, really. He still
And
needs the sun to recharge. So
that's
if
true.
if he needs the sun to recharge, he needs the kryptonite will remove that solar energy from his cells, much in the same way Superman does. You
I
know,
thought at least once, at one instance, we've actually known that because he's half human, he doesn't share those same weaknesses.
I don't think it hits him as hard as it would hit Superman, but he still has some aversion to it. Like you put kryptonite near him, he's not going to heal as quickly as he would. You know,
Gotcha.
so but I mean the kryptonite was probably meant to prevent Superman from saving him or anybody else for that matter.
Yeah.
Um, you know, we already know Martians can't go near fire. Superman can't go near kryptonite, and it was just a double-edged sword there. There was no way they were going to be able to save anybody. So there's hope for the Legion, at least on my end. So yeah,
There you go. So I'm willing to say, and this is interesting because if this time traveler is here just to place a secondary explosive device that's laced with kryptonite on this viral bomb, knowing that a kryptonite laced bomb is really only specified for a single person who's on this planet at this time, he would know that because he's a time traveler.
yeah.
What Why is Connor so important to this person who's probably from the future? We're going to assume that this time traveler is from the future, trying to change something in his timeline, his present. So he travels back in time in order to remove Connor from a situation.
Mhm.
Because clearly, a kryptonite bomb is not going to hurt anybody else outside of him, outside of Connor. So that's interesting. The question is now, why is Connor so important in the future? Why was he just targeted by this one individual? These are the questions the show wants us to ask. That's what you should be thinking about right now. Whether or not Connor's alive is a good question, but a better question is, why was his
Why was he targeted?
secondary explosive device targeting Connor? That's the big question right now. And we're
My
not going to get answers tonight, but it's a
yeah.
good question.
If I have to theorize, I say it's McGann. She's the key to something, and if you arguably the most powerful of the Martians right now,
Sure,
probably even more powerful than John Jones,
you're not
Manhunter.
wrong. Yeah.
So if you're able to break her emotionally, mentally, um, it's an anti-life equation kind of thing all over again. Who knows if that's so
Ooh.
involved? Yeah. So
Interesting. You're right. It could not just be Connor who's the mark. It could be
yeah,
McGann who's the mark, and
could be
Connor
the whole team.
is
Yeah. So
all right.
yeah,
Definitely. Lastly, that's our thoughts on episode 4. If you go back to our last week's show, I kind of threw this out there. I threw it out there because it kind of felt like it was time, and it happened in a week. I'm sorry. It's not my fault. Blame the writers of the show. Blame Greg and Brandon. I did not ask them to kill Connor. They did that on their own fruition. Um, but some interesting news regarding Young Justice. Tomorrow on Reddit, Greg Wiseman and Brandon Vietti are going to do a Ask Me Anything. Let's see here. tomorrow at 2:30 Pacific, 5:30 Eastern, under the Young Justice Reddit page. So that'll be extremely cool. Reddit AMA with showrunners Brandon Getty and Greg Wiseman. Again, 2:30 Pacific, 5:30 Eastern on the Young Justice Reddit page. And I guess it's also a good time to talk about where the show's headed starting this week.
Mhm.
So, another question that we had talked about last week with JC and Jericho is what was the format going to be of this season? We said, are they just going to bounce around? Are they going to stick with McGann and Connor for a while and bring people in little by little? No, it turns out they're actually going to be spending quality time with like segments of the team across, let's just say, the majority of the season. So
Yeah.
this week we are actually going to be hanging out with
Artemis.
Artemis and Cheshire Cat, and I think also Red Arrow.
Mhm.
And this week's episode is going to be titled "Tale of Two Sisters." Artemis Croc's life is interrupted by devastating news just as multiple shadows fall across her path. And then we're also going to be sticking with them as well through episode 6 called Artemis Through the Looking Glass.
Looks
So,
like it'll be through the next 4 episodes from what I'm seeing. So it's like
yeah,
4 episode blocks. Yeah.
I think so. 4 episode arcs. And we can probably just like say that for now, but if I'm not sticking to, I'm not locking myself in anything if I'm, controlling the show. I'm
Right.
doing what I want. I have free reign to do things as I please. It might be a 3 episode arc one week for the Bat family. It might be a 5 episode arc for Nightwing or somebody like that later down the line. And then they might all converge in the middle of the season, the end of the season. I think anything's possible. Let's not lock them in a box. This show does what they want, and so I think that's just what we're gonna have to expect going forward. The very last thing I'll say is that last season they started using the first letter in the episode titles as an anagram for like the theme of the whole season. Um, Last year it was about the anti-life equation,
Prepare the anti-life
and
equation. Yep.
in this season, I said last year, last season.
Yeah.
This season, we already have four, five, 6 letters,
We have
and the
8
first
now, actually.
8. Okay, there you go. Keep adding them. Keep adding them. The first word appears to be invitation,
Yes.
and I'm throwing my guess out there, and I'm not trying to spoil anything, because I tried to work in a couple of things that I figured it would revolve around for the season. My guess, and I threw this out on Twitter. I think it was Saturday or Sunday. Um, Invitation to the Phantom Zone,
Hmm?
which would
Is
be
that 26
very.
letters?
It is
Oh,
Invitation
okay.
to the Phantom Zone is exactly 26 letters.
Okay.
Yeah, I early on fans were thinking something about a wedding. I threw out there maybe it's not a wedding but a funeral. I
Yeah.
couldn't match anything up with wedding or funeral. So Phantom Zone works just fine. Invitation to the Phantom Zone, which, depending on if they're going by the history of the Phantom Zone, that could be damn interesting, wouldn't it, JC?
Yeah. Because that hasn't been explored yet.
No.
What if that's where Connor is hidden away?
What
Ooh,
if,
there you go. All right. Well, those are our thoughts on Young Justice episode 4. That's all we got to say about that. Let us know what you guys think about episode 4 as well. Are you still reeling over the potential death of one of the OG characters? Let us know in the comments below. And be sure to check us every week while we talk about Young Justice throughout the end of the season. Next, we're actually be talking about something that happened today, something that dropped today. The Book of Boba Fett dropped a teaser trailer, and very interesting. A lot of great shots, a lot of action sequences, a lot of wonderful pictures and shots of Ming Na Wen's character. Glad that she's back. And now we're going to discuss it. Didn't know this was going to happen today, but very happily surprised that it did. So, Joe, I'm going to start with you, man. Give us your initial thoughts, your initial reaction to the teaser trailer for the Book of Boba Fett.
I actually liked it. I dug it. I thought it was a good opening sequence. Kind of showing you what's going on back on Tatooine. They show this robotic looking spider crawling across the screen, and they always like to show crazy characters, as we saw with Return of the Jedi, how they had the frog in the very beginning, opening scene right before you get to Jabba's palace, and he's trying to get a little insect on the ground. You always have to show something before they actually show the palace. So I thought that was a good throwback to the Return of the Jedi sequence. I did like the fact that they kind of make this a different type of Star Wars series, because we've never had something that actually delves deep into the underground, the seedy underground of what's going on behind the scenes of the Star Wars universe. We always kind of see what's happening from a military perspective, with the Empire and the Reliance in the Alliance, which is the Rebel Alliance and whatnot, and how these factions differ, but what we saw with the Mandalorian is how it affects the people. And with this one, it's going to dive even deeper and showing you how the underground or the underworld of the Star Wars universe affects everything. It's not just affecting people here and there. It could have other
Yeah.
ramifications that go actually into what's going on in real time between the Rebel Alliance and the Empire. So I'm hoping that they'll have some type of nod towards that as well in here. Maybe we'll see some, something going on, a transaction, maybe some, fuel or something like that, that maybe the alliance needs, and they help everyone as long as the price is right. Um, One of the things I did like is you're going to see the different factions, the different clans, all coming together and having meetings, and everybody's kind of cutthroat in this universe. Why should we listen to you, kind of thing. And I thought it was a good nod on Boba's part, because he's seen the way Jabba's ruled before, because he was one of his henchmen, as we saw him working for Jabba in the palace in Return of the Jedi. And he met his demise we thought he did at the hands of the Sarlacc pit monster, you know? But Boba has a different way of ruling. He doesn't
Yeah.
want to rule with fear, but with respect. We have a mutual respect, and then we have a mutual understanding that's beneficial for everyone if we can kind of swallow our prides a little bit and get along. We can all make money. So let's see how
I've watched The Sopranos. That only lasts for so long.
exactly. That's what I'm about to tell you. Let's see who wants to go ahead and kill the other guy first, because somebody's going to try to backstab the other, which is another sequence that we saw play out in the trailer, where it looks like somebody's trying to betray Boba. It looks like almost reminiscent of the Death Clan with the red and the black aesthetic, because we haven't
Yeah.
really seen them in action, but it's like, when did they get melee weapons and also these red shields, these energy shields? Um, so it'd be interesting to see that dynamic play out. But for the most part, this looks like a really cool kind of Soprano Star Wars kind of thing that the fans have been wanting. Not to see the anti-hero, but to actually see the villain play out, and to actually get a Boba Fett that the fans have been clamoring for. It's kind of, we got a little glimpse in The Mandalorian. We really want to see what the full gamut is of what Boba's capable of. And we've seen a small sample size, but now that he has his own series, this is going to be really interesting. It's going to be like The Mandalorian, Ted, where the not knowing is going to get the fans so excited and so hyped every time a new episode's going to be released. Maybe we're going to wind up staying up till 2 in the morning checking out the premiere, Ted.
Listen, I kind of let a little bit of my take out of the bag already, and I'm gonna actually go back to sort of what we first talked about before, while leading up to the Mandalorian. After we saw Baby Yoda, yes, I'm still gonna call him Baby Yoda.
Grogu.
Um,
You're gonna make JC mad. We don't want to piss off
My
JC.
kids too. My kids call him Grogu too. So
After we had finally gotten the reveal of Baby Yoda, or surprise, after we were surprised with the reveal of Baby Yoda, the one thing that I had thought about was that how great is it that we are seeing something brand new in the Star Wars universe? We're so hung up on Jedi's and Sith and everything like that, and the Empire and the Rebels. Here's something that we've never explored: a youngling of Yoda's ancestry, of Yoda's species, something that's never been discussed, never been talked about. Very, very, very few times is it ever even talked about. And so this was something new and refreshing, and we were going to have this Western like series revolve around keeping him safe. Now, something that I didn't think I would think Star Wars would do, but I'm very happy about, because I'm rewatching The Sopranos and I'm already on season 4. And I'm very happy about that. Sopranos is fantastic. And now Star Wars is going to give me a Sopranos like galaxy from far, far away. So I'm thrilled. I am not only watching Tony Soprano right now, just wrecking shop and ruling with an iron fist and making the hard decisions, and still trying to be a family man and everything else. But now we're gonna see what happens when Star Wars goes gangster, and it's gonna feel like that. And it's exciting because, again, it's something we've not seen before. And when you do some things that are new and refreshing, there's no limits. There's no limits to what you can do. It's a whole entire genre we've not experienced. Gangsters in space, like for real, like that's not been done before. And so it's exciting to see what they can do with that type of scenario. How dramatic can it get? How creative can you be? It's very exciting. I love gangster movies and I love Star Wars movies. So to try and mesh the two together is a wild thought, but I'm gonna welcome it with open arms. JC, your thoughts on the teaser trailer, sir?
Uh, I'm just happy to see it. I know we're not getting Mandalorian this season, but I am interested to see this kind of turf war that might play out. How many of these followers were loyal to the previous underground regime, if you will, and now they have to accept Fett, as the new king, if you will.
Yeah,
Um, but I'm interested to see. I would think this is not going to take place solely on Tatooine. I'm sure there may be some other things. They hint at more bounty hunting on his side of things.
yeah,
But yeah, you guys covered everything. Uh, Almost like a gangster movie kind of thing. And
it really is. I think
yeah,
that's what they're going for, and
yeah.
why not?
But yeah, this is going to be a lot more of like him, at least for the first season or two, trying to convince these people that he can lead them. You know, it it's in that underground. Positions of power are just kind of up for grabs, and whoever can show that they can lead, are people going to trust them? Are people going to be loyal to him? You know, that's a whole new world down there in that underground, and it'd be cool to see what happened to Tatooine after Jedi because we have no idea. you know,
One of the things that we didn't talk about is because it is a transitional period between the Empire's rule and getting into what was the other faction from
the
the new
First Order.
trilogy, the First
First
Order.
Order.
It's in that transitional period where the First Order is starting to put their things together and gain traction. And one of the things that we did see in the trailer was Boba Fett's helmet falling to the ground, and what did we see spill out of it? Republic credits. So the
Right.
credit still holds some type of value, even though people don't really like to deal with them. They still hold value in certain areas. So
Right.
you still have that harken back to the empire. So I thought that was interesting.
Mhm. Yeah, bounty hunting is going to
Very much
be
so.
more and more of a thing. I think Mandalorian got away from that, obviously, with the Grogu being a central part of the story. And we don't know where Mandalorian season 3 is going to go. Obviously, with Luke taking Grogu to train him, how that involvement's going to be. But the Mandalorian got away from the bounty hunting life he was leading, and I wonder if this is going to explore that a little bit more with Boba. those credits you mentioned, what other bounties are out there that he might explore to get money for his underground?
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
more pod racing too.
yeah. Well, the cool thing is now that we're going to be able to see these other clans or these other factions out there, what kind of war is going to be started here? You kind of get the sense that they're not all going to agree because you already kind of got that tension just from the opening scene. So it's
Right.
going to be interesting to see the ramifications from going with the people who pledge their allegiance or want to be loyal to Boba and the ones that kind of want to branch off and do their own thing. Because not everyone's going to be able to get along, and it's kind of like, well, you want to come into my territory, you're not, you know, part of what we're wanting to do. You can't pay me because we no longer like you. So if you show up over here, we're going to wind up trying to kill you, kind of thing. So that's going to be a fun spin on things, seeing how the
Right.
seedy underground, not everyone gets along there either. You would think they would, but no, it's not the case.
Not at all.
Well, absolutely, man. You know what? Like I said, this is a teaser, not a whole lot given away. It's great seeing Temuera Morrison again. He's really taking over, right? He was an Aquaman, now he's in the Star Wars again, and yeah,
Yeah.
he
Total
has a good run right now.
resurgence. Yeah.
Absolutely, he's got a good run going right now. Let us know what you guys think about the trailer. What was your favorite part of it? Not a whole lot given away, which is fine. I want to be happily surprised when this comes out. We have a little bit more to wait. The series premiere drops on December 29th, and I'm sure they'll just drop episodes every week like they normally do after that. So yeah, very exciting. The Book of Boba Fett. If you haven't seen the teaser trailer yet, head on over to our Facebook page and scroll down the timeline, and you will find it. The Book of Boba Fett teaser trailer. All right, time for some geeky weekly headlines, and I'm gonna try to make this kind of fairly quick. First up is actually a new Morbius trailer is going to drop tomorrow, and they did sort of release a vignette of sorts. You can find that on our Facebook page, and they're pretty much just teasing the trailer, which is dropping tomorrow. And in the video they released today, they actually teased not only Rhino but Black Cat. They referenced Rhino and referenced Black Cat in this video they released today. So, not saying they're in the movie, folks. I'm just saying that in this timeline
Ted
that
is
they're
saying they're in the movie. Ted is saying they're in the movie.
in this timeline that they're establishing, there is a Rhino and a Black Cat in this Morbius universe. But again, there's so many conflicting things like in past trailers, in past photo stills. There's so many conflicting things. You don't know if he's in the Raimi verse. You don't know if he's in the MCU. Like none of it makes any sense.
Yeah,
So
you
it's
don't
going
know
to be
the timeline.
interesting to see. Yeah, you have
Yeah.
no idea. Well, you don't know what universe he's in. That's what I'm trying to get at. The Daily Bugle logo looks like it's from the Raimi verse. You know, the Daily Bugle logo in the MCU is more of a online blogger type deal, so not the same at all. So interesting video they dropped today. It's going to be more interesting tomorrow when we get the full trailer and see what's going on there. So if you want to
You know what I
see
thought was interesting about the whole trailer is, as you
what's
said,
that,
they're starting to drop hints to other characters, alluding to this kind of Sinister Six kind of thing.
Mhm.
We already have Venom, which is another anti-hero, going
right?
on in this Spider-Man universe. Um, at some point, even with the new movie coming up, No Way Home, what other villains and what other characters are we going to see be introduced into this particular MCU timeline? I kind of like the way that Sony's doing things now. Kind of, it seems like Sony and the MCU are kind of wanting to bring things together, so to speak, because they can see that there is a mutual benefit for both parties getting along and introducing characters that said, let's say Sony only wants to hold in their universe, but they see the fan base wants to go ahead and have these movies made, and there is money to be had. So get along together, make these movies for the fans. And one of the characters that I'm waiting to see if there's a reference to in Morbius might be Craven the Hunter. I want them to be able to make a reference because That would be pretty cool, even if it's just in passing. Maybe somebody saying something, of they need a tracker or something of that nature, and they go ahead and reference Craven. One of the best storylines that I always liked about Spider-Man was the Spider-Man versus Morbius storyline. That came out in the comic book Spider-Man that was penned by Todd McFarlane, which is one of my favorite comic book artists. And as a kid, getting the subscription to Spider-Man and getting that in the mail, and I couldn't wait to get the other episode to drop, and check the mail and pull that comic book out because it was a really good story. And Morbius has always been a very interesting character.
Yeah.
There's something very human about him and very broken, but he still holds on to that human element, that kind of keeps him grounded from becoming a full monster. So even though he is one, I think that he resents that in some regards, where he always tries to cling to his humanity. And that's the thing that I really love about Morbius as a character, is that clinging to that his humanity part, and the other characters that are introduced into this particular film. I'm excited about it more so than I was about Venom. So hopefully it has a better showing.
No, absolutely hope so, man. And we'll find out more tomorrow when the trailer drops. Be sure to check back on Facebook, check back on our timeline, for that information. JC, this one I knew was going to make your ears perk up a little bit. Rumors have been circulating for a while now that a Super Smash Brothers type video game was being developed by Warner Brothers, and lo and behold, over the weekend, last week, there appeared to be a leak of what looks like a character selection screen, and it had uh, characters like Gandalf, Superman, Rick Sanchez, Bugs Bunny, Tom and Jerry, Batman, Shaggy. It looks to be a character selection screen for a fighter type game, what fans are calling Warner Brothers Multiverses. JC, are
Yes.
you intrigued by this potential leak and the news that a fighting game is on the way by Warner Brothers?
Only if the Animaniacs are in it. And they can
Hey,
be collectively one character. You control all three of them at once. That'd be freaking epic.
oh god.
Yeah.
I mean, with that, I
That
guess it's possible, right? Since
it's
Tom and
possible.
Jerry,
It makes sense. And honestly, no one's going to have as good a platform fighter as Smash Brothers.
true,
Uh, Especially with the way they handled DLCs on Ultimate. When they finally revealed Sora as the last one, it's been pretty awesome to watch. Nickelodeon All Stars is just full of bugs and glitches. It's not as fun. It tries to replicate it. It's just not as good.
yeah,
Sony tried something similar some years back. Uh, there's been a few other games. Brawlhalla is the one that sticks out. I mean, that one's got a good following. It's free. I think that helps a lot too. A
love
different
Brawlhalla.
engine. But when you think about it, after watching Space Jam New Legacy, when you think about every character that's involved in the Warner Brothers Warnerverse, if you will,
Library, sure.
yeah, that makes sense. Um, this would be very interesting to see if they can do it. Now, hopefully, they get a good developmental team that makes it a good fighter, put some work into it, don't just half-ass it. Nintendo really takes their time and does such a great job with Smash Brothers. I really hope that if they do develop something like this, that it's the engine's great. It doesn't have to be exactly like Smash Brothers, but that has to make sense, and maybe there's a tournament scene for it. But
Well, maybe put a new take on the whole bit a little bit. New fighting aesthetics. Be a little
Sure.
yeah,
different.
I don't want it to be like, I mean, obviously we see Superman in the Injustice games and whatnot, but for them to be doing a platform fighter, that could be fun.
It could be,
That could be very interesting.
I
especially
already
like you said,
know.
with all the licensing that they have available to them. JC.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
If Neo's in it, y'all are fucked. That's all I'm gonna say. 'Cause you imagine Neo versus Superman, people would want to see that, right? But yeah, if you put because I mean, Smash Brothers has the Ice Climbers. You have the two brother and sister together fighting. But if you do all three, Yakko, Wacko, and Dot as one character, and they collectively have their own moves depending on who's in front or something, that could be fun. And Wacko
I
can pull
want to
just
play as
about
the
anything out of
security
his
guard,
mallet.
JC. I want to play as the security guard,
Ralph?
Ralph.
Yeah.
Elmira,
Oh God, that's
Myra.
Pinky and
Tiny
the
Toon Girl.
Brain.
That would be pretty
Um,
dope.
yeah. There's a lot. There's a lot you can go with
Um,
this.
yeah, so we know where JC's leaning towards. The Warner Brothers and the Warner Sister dot. Joe, what would be your go-to character if this is a game that we'll see in the near future?
I kind of like what JC is saying. Going with like the
Out of
Neo.
all of Warner Brothers properties, you're gonna go
I
with
like I like the characters from the Matrix. I think that's pretty dope. I also do
Yeah.
like the Iron Giant. That would be cool to put
Yeah.
him in there somehow.
King
You
Kong,
gotta
right?
you gotta put him in there.
Yeah.
Some of the
Yeah,
other licensings that they have. I mean, it'd be cool to see
Godzilla.
Marty, from Back to the
Well,
Future.
they don't
You know?
technically own the Godzilla rights, but they do have the rights to King Kong.
There you go.
Godzilla is owned by a Japanese company, so they'd have to license them to use Godzilla in the game.
Yeah, there was an
Um,
issue making the movie too because that company still owned the rights to Godzilla.
yeah, they only had the rights for what was it, 3 movies featuring Godzilla. They'd have to extend it to go beyond Godzilla versus Kong. But yeah, there's like, geez, you have to almost browse HBO Max to see what they own. you know, uh, if they own the rights to Harry Potter, there you go. I mean, you could put Harry Potter and Hermione Granger.
Yeah, I
If
mean
Voldemort's,
Gandalf's.
I mean,
Oh
If Voldemort
wow!
was in it, I mean,
Yeah.
Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII, like the ultimate video game villain, is in Smash Brothers, damn near broken. You put Voldemort in there, I mean, who knows? Maybe Dumbledore as well. There's so many ways you can go with this. Obviously, there'd be some DLC, but just take your time developing it. I don't do the Warner Brothers thing and rush job shit. You can't do that with these types of games because the competitive scene that I'm heavily involved in will eat you alive if your game sucks. And with the esports being the way it is now, if you want this game involved in major tournaments or more exposure on Twitch and whatnot, you have to make it a good, great engine fighting game. I'm not saying exactly like I said, not exactly like Smash Brothers, but something that makes sense, something that's easy to pick up and yet deep on the other level too. So
I don't
Yeah,
know if Warner Brothers still owns the rights to it, but one of the cartoons that I really loved in the 90s, and I was a teen at the time, but I really liked it, Pirates of Dark Water. If they still own the rights to that and they can go ahead and put some of the characters from
yeah,
Pirates of Dark Water, to me that would be like epic,
yeah,
because I really like that whole series. If you've never seen it, you should, because in that world of Myrrh, everything's alive. Even the weapons they use, they're like alive. It's very organic. It's a very cool way that they spun at the story with having to deal with mysticism and magic, but also technology. If Warner Brothers still owns the rights to that, make it happen somehow.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Well, yeah. So that was very intriguing leak. Let's hope there's actually some truth to it, and we'll wait and see exactly what happens. But for now, just rumors, folks. Just rumors.
yeah.
Let's see. Dune 2 has been announced. It will drop in let's see, on October 20th of
Nice.
2023. A new video game in the Quiet Place universe has been announced. It is dropping 2022, and there's a lot you can do with games these days. Setting up a microphone that can listen to the player so that you actually yourself physically have to remain silent in order to stay safe. There's games out there like that. That's a really
Or just
damn
put your microphone on mute. That's the
So
way to
no,
get
no,
if
around
you
no.
that.
throw a,
So
if you throw a
there's
fart, you're gonna die. If you throw a fart, you're gonna die.
absolutely. Listen, there's a game out there. I don't know if this is the exact name of it, but it's called Dark Web, indie game. I don't even know if it's
Uh,
still around. But that was one of the components. If you if somebody came to your house, it's great because you're actually set up. The video game itself, you're set up at your PC like area, so it's you playing a game on a computer where you are logging into what looks like a computer, like on a desktop. And every
Right.
now and then, some shadowy figure walks by your window and comes into your house. and you have to turn off your PC in the game, and you have to turn off the lights in your room in the game, and then you yourself have to remain absolutely silent in order to avoid being detected and captured by this dark organization on the web. Anyways, so there's ways to incorporate real life sounds while you're playing a game in order to, stay safe. And so if this is incorporated into a game like this, I think that's tremendous. And it's just another layer, another component of experience within a video game. So I think that would be tremendous if they were to do something like that. All
Just
right,
make
A
sure your
Quiet Place
kids
is a video
don't
game.
run in and screw it up for you. Because you imagine if trying to be super quiet and then hear your kids, "Daddy," and then you just die because they couldn't keep their mouth shut.
I got teenagers, JC, and they're still loud as hell, man. You
See,
know,
there you go.
the
Yeah.
only one
But
that's quiet about things is Ted's daughter. She's funny when she comes in and interrupts the show. Throwing Legos and stuff.
she might actually survive if I tell her what's going on. She'll be like, "Okay, keep it quiet, got it."
Yeah.
Um, more news, more news. Michael B. Jordan's Val Zod confirmation. Val Zod superhero project is actually going to be developed for HBO Max, not in theaters, straight to HBO Max. Is that a misfire in your mind? Should this be a much bigger? Should they be aiming a little bit higher for a theater release? JC, what do you think?
No, because I don't think a casual audience would understand it.
Mm,
That's it's a little less. It's a much lesser known character on the DC side of this things, and the only reason that Marvel is be able to pull off Guardians and Eternals is because they market it so well. But it feels like at times DC's just throwing ideas out there and seeing what sticks. But I think with this, they're trying to build up their Max streaming service. I think they're trying to tap into that, and a lot of movies are starting to go that way. We've seen HBO Max, Warner Brothers embrace that thing, doing movie and theatrical release at the same time. Um, so it's not surprising, you know. I think it's a good move to start, but if they ever do like a sequel or something, maybe a theatrical release. But then again, who knows? Who knows where the future of movies on streaming services are going to go?
What about you, Joe? What do you think? Should they have try and wait in for a theater release, or is putting this type of project on HBO Max a good idea?
Again, I'm like JC. It's kind of an uh, obscure content, obscure characters. I don't know if it's going to lend itself so well to the big screen. I think it could go ahead and lend itself to the small screen if they go ahead and do it as a series. That
Mhm.
way, they can have ample time to go ahead and explain the origins, the full gamut of the story to a new audience. Not everybody knows about these characters, but if you do it as a series, it gives you a little bit more time to kind of build things up and work with things in a better light. Trying to cram everything all in together into like a 2 hour movie, or nowadays 2 hours or less is the magic number.
Right.
Yeah.
It's going to be too much source material to fit in such a small time frame, and the movie might not do well, because if you don't already know the source material going in, how can they explain that to you as a new moviegoer or a new fan?
Absolutely. Um, and I will actually say that if they're not aiming for this to be a major, project with like a major budget and all that, sure, put on HBO Max. But if you were going to really spend the money on this, have a huge story, if it's compelling enough, I think it deserves to be on the big screen. I don't know if it's a series. If it's a series, HBO Max, obviously, right? But I always thought this is going to be a movie, a major film, and so we'll see exactly what happens with that.
One thing I
Uh,
did want to ask JC about, since we did briefly mention Dune,
Mhm.
I watched Dune on the day that it was released.
Mhm.
I've watched all the other Dunes, even though they were bad. I've watched the original. It was a snooze fest. It was very methodical, move like molasses. The
Yeah.
books were a little kind of the same. You had to either like them or you hate them, and they were a slow burn. It's something that you got to invest time in, kind of
Right.
like His Dark Materials, Ted, which
Mm.
we'll leave that for another time. But JC, what did you think of the Dune, this new iteration of Dune?
Yeah. First of all, I haven't seen any of the originals, or any read any books or nothing.
And I
Um,
haven't seen this one, so
you haven't seen this
careful
one,
what you
but
say.
I did see this in theaters. Shout out to my parents who took the kids for a day, and my wife and I went to a movie theater, which we hadn't done since literally right before the whole world shut down. And
No,
so
man.
we were like, okay, we're almost afraid to go. Like, is the world going to shut down again if we go to theater? But we enjoyed it. It was amazing. It's really well done. I for people complaining like, what, they didn't give us an ending, like it says in the title, Dune Part 1,
Part one.
plain as fucking day when you start the movie. But I thought it was really well. I like the slow burn tell. You can tell this is going to be a trilogy. This is just an epic story, but there's a lot of visions. It was much of like a vision this, vision that, like dreaming about this, dreaming about that.
The
They
slow
do a lot of
burn.
the slow burn, slow burn. So I'm expecting though the way it ended for part 2 and potentially part 3 to have a lot more action. Now that we're getting into, now he's finally met this character that he's been dreaming about the whole time, and they tease what exactly these people do, like how they live in this desert. It's got us very interested in part 2 to see where the story goes and how much more action packed, and you know what more they're going to get their hands on, how he's going to learn this stuff.
Yeah,
And
it's very it's kind of like political in a
yeah,
sense because everybody wants this planet because of what you've heard spice,
spice.
you
Yeah,
know, because of the spice. And basically what the spice is, it's an element that only can be mined at this planet, even though
right.
it's just a godforsaken planet, a world devoid of almost all life. It's a big desert. Spice plays an instrumental part in interplanetary space travel.
Exactly.
And
That's
it
why it's
gives
so
them,
valuable.
yeah, it gives them longevity as far as prolonging their life, and it gives them the ability to have some type of kind of telepathy, mind powers, and stuff like that. So it's enhances what they already have, and that's why it's so sought after. If you can control Dune or you control the trade of spice, you kind of essentially control the galaxy because everybody relies so heavily on it.
Yeah,
So that's why there's always, it seems like there's always an exchange of leadership that's going on here, and we're kind of right at that precipice of what's going to happen here. Kind of the changing of the guard, and you got a little taste of that, got a little taste of the characters. But as far as what Dune actually is, I thought this was really well done on a big scale because let's face it, years ago you needed CGI to really, get the full gamut of what this movie can go ahead and encompass across to the masses. And trying to do that on the big screen with stop motion and whatnot, I mean, you just couldn't do it. Nowadays it's a
yeah,
little bit different. So it kind of, they set the scene a lot better. But again, you have to go in there knowing that it's a slow burn. It's not one of these
yeah.
action-packed thrillers.
Yeah.
It has I guess, a slow burn thing. You say it's almost like a Lord of the Rings type epic kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's a long film, but cast is great. It's got a great cast. The Timothy Chalamet, is that how you pronounce his last name?
Chalamet.
Plays Paul. Really does a great job with it too. But it's Rebecca Ferguson, Josh Brolin, Jason Momoa, who my wife was so excited to see in this film. She didn't know who else was in this, of course. Zendaya, Dave Bautista.
Surprise. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a very really good movie. I'm glad we got to go see it. It was nice to sit in a theater again. I just miss the Draft House so much. Let me tell you. Uh,
It's
the one
coming back, JC.
slowly, but my Westlake's location is not, and that's what's pretty tearful for me. So
It's gonna be coming back, but it's not gonna be owned by Alamo Drafthouse. It's gonna be owned by Santikos now.
yeah, but we'll see. I guess when it opens, we went to see it at Flicks, which was great. I love the chairs there. I could seriously fall asleep there. The chairs were so comfortable. But still, yeah, it was good to be back in the theater, and we picked a good one to go to.
Yeah.
Now I got to watch it again on HBO Max to see what I missed.
Yeah, and I told all my friends now that they saw it, I said, I'm gonna be greeting them like this now.
Yeah.
I said, be prepared to be embarrassed. They're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So I said, if I see you at the Spurs game and I do this, you got to do it back. And they're like, oh Lord. So that's gonna be funny. I'm looking forward to Eternals. It's gonna be coming out this week. Ted, I'm sure you were gonna say something about that. Don't you have an event or something coming up in regards to
I
Eternals?
don't know what you're talking about, man. No, we're gonna be having a just a private screening with the Geekcast and some fam, and hopefully you guys out there are able to watch Eternals as well. Our review will drop next week, and we're gonna have a lot to talk about next week. Another episode of Young Justice. Well, maybe we'll hold off a week. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I hope
And
I'm not coming
They're
back
only
here and
30. They're only 30
doing
minute episodes as it is. So.
telling you guys I told you so. I hope I'm wrong.
oh, what?
Eternals
Oh,
Eternals?
about Eternals.
Oh, okay.
is
We'll see
what
what
it
happens.
is. I think it's gonna, like I said, you're either gonna like it or you're gonna hate it. I don't think there's gonna be an in between.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine. I don't think it's going to be anything spectacular, but I've talked negatively about some Marvel movies, and I think it'll be above those for sure. So we'll see what's going on with that. Not to mention, next week, either by myself or maybe with one of you guys, I will be reviewing and recapping every episode of Dexter New Blood. So I don't know if you guys are going to be watching that. I will be recapping episodes every single week, probably on my own free time. But Dexter New Blood starts Sunday on Showtime, and it's a limited series. I think there's only 10 episodes, maybe 10 or 13 episodes. It might be just be 10.
I don't know,
But
Teddy. I think I'm gonna
the
have to bow
final
out of
chapter.
this one, man. I'm gonna have to bow out of this one because with the kickoff of the NBA season starting again, and then we got playoffs. We got the World Series. It's a lot, dude, that I'm gonna be covering. And JC, I don't know if he's gonna want
Now
to.
you'll be fine.
No, I got Star Trek Discovery right around the corner. And don't forget
We'll see
Now,
what
Animaniacs.
happens.
I wouldn't
And don't
mind
forget Animaniacs
reviewing
drops
that.
Friday too. So
I
we
wouldn't
all
mind reviewing that with JC because I'm a big fan of Star Trek, and I watch Discovery.
Yeah, I need to. I'm gonna be trying to talk with Chucky Kathy about doing some quick episodes recapping each of the first 3 seasons, and what we hope to look forward to in season 4. I haven't really seen any details, and I kind of want to be surprised, about it. So
Ted
um,
needs to get on board here and start catching up and watching it.
I don't know if he has
There's,
Paramount Plus, but yeah, it's
there's
definitely worth it.
I have
So
Paramount Plus, but
yeah.
listen. There's way too many things going on right now. November is stacked with content and
Yes.
great shows and
You
series
caught up with his Dark Materials, right?
making a comeback. I am caught up. Making a comeback. November 5th is not only is the Animaniacs, but Narcos. Mexico is coming back to Netflix on November 5th. If you're a fan of Yellowstone, that's one of my guilty pleasures. Yellowstone drops Sunday,
Jericho,
November
dude.
7th. There you go. I think he's catching up. I don't know if he's caught up all the
Yeah,
way.
he
He's
put it
catching
up
up.
on Facebook, that he was watching Yellowstone.
Yeah, he's watching it. I told no, he started it. I told him to start it.
Mhm.
I was the last person he talked to about it, and then he started watching it. So you're welcome, Jericho. Yellowstone season 4, I think, drops on Sunday, November 7th. Dexter, New Blood, the limited series event starts November 7th on Sunday. The Challenge All Stars JC starts November 11th
Yes, it
on the
does.
Paramount
All
Plus.
Stars 2.
All
Uh,
2.
great cast too.
I'm much better cast than the first season.
Are they
Yeah,
going
I
to have the
agree.
return of the Miz?
Are they what?
Are they going to have the return of the Miz?
Nah, he's
No, he's not.
big
He's
time.
on Dancing with the Stars, and mind you, he's actually tearing it up. He's doing really
He
good on
would
it.
he would
Um,
probably win this.
yeah, I they couldn't do it because it's to go film it and everything. You're spending at least a month away, and with his WWE schedule, there's just absolutely no way.
No.
But All Stars 2 looks really good. Great cast. Uh, and they also just announced the Real World Homecoming, the Los Angeles cast, the first
Saw
one.
that.
Yeah. Obviously, if you guys saw it on Paramount Plus, they did the New York one. Now here's the LA one. Famous for being the first season where somebody was kicked out of the house. And so now they're all back together. Tammy's back. She's been on Basketball Wives. She's been on Marriage Boot Camp. She's been on other reality TV, so she's back on that too. So yeah, it's plenty we'll be talking about in the Island Reality Podcast. Believe you me. We're gonna have a couple weeks off for that because Ryan and Angela are going to Disney World yet again.
Mhm.
And so
The beauty of having no kids, JT.
No, trust me. I know. And oh, geez, you're going to get your lightsaber. Oh, great. Yeah, congratulations. So, but yeah, they'll let us know how it is, and we'll catch up on the challenge, which, by the way, just celebrated its 500th episode last week.
Right.
You guys did not know.
Fantastic.
Yes. Yeah. Lots to talk
I'm
about.
very envious of Ryan and his wife being able to go to Disney World so many times, but it's fun times for them,
Yeah.
There you go.
So,
Bottoming, topping out my list is another guilty pleasure here. Season 2 of The Tiger King drops November 17th on Netflix. And November 19th is the series premiere of Cowboy Bebop,
Hey,
which
so
yeah.
looks
if we
more
go
and more
ahead,
interesting every single time. They
if
give
we
us
go
more
ahead
content.
and review episodes of the Tiger King, JC's
God.
gonna have to put on the wig and call himself JC
Joe?
Exotic.
Fuck, man.
Please.
I've got enough to watch on my
Please.
plate as it is, man.
And we
Jesus.
have to get him a tough tiger to kind of put behind him or something.
I've
I
got my
agree.
got
cat.
one you
I'm
can
all
use.
in on this.
I think I got one you can put back there.
My cat's right here, so he might join you. Who knows?
There you go.
So,
We'll just
Just
call
put the
them.
stripes on him, man.
I know.
And then last but definitely not least, also on the 19th is the release of Ghostbusters Afterlife. And I'm going to go ahead and announce it now. We are actually partnering with the Ghostbusters of San Antonio, Texas, in our hometown. And we will be making a co-appearance at the Alamo Draft House North Park location,
Park North.
Park North,
Yes.
Friday the 19th, as well as Sunday the 21st. Should be a great event. They have a tremendous group of Ghostbuster fanatics there, and it'll be fun just to celebrate
Want to dress up, Ted?
franchise. I wear my outfit every single day, Joe. You know me, man.
Can't fit
And
into a Ghostbuster outfit, so I might have to just be Slimer or something.
yeah, that's fine. That's
Or
fine.
the
That's
Stay
good.
Puft Marshmallow Man.
So more details to come out pretty soon. But we'll be celebrating the release of Ghostbusters Afterlife with them at the Alamo Draft House Park North location, Friday the 19th as well as Sunday the 21st. There's a flyer out there. I'll share pretty soon on our Facebook page once we have the last of the details ironed out. But extremely excited about that. I'm gonna watch that movie at least 3 times in that first weekend. Been waiting for this for a very long time. So more to come, but I'm excited to be doing this event with that group. They're such a great group, and just nothing but a bunch of diehard Ghostbuster lovers, man. So yeah, very exciting. Can't wait. We're less than 3 weeks away from the release of Ghostbusters Afterlife. I never thought I'd say that because it's been delayed and delayed for like over a year and a half. So yeah, pretty exciting. And that'll do it. Unless you got something else.
No, I was gonna say Tina finally saw the trailer because they played it before Dune for Ghostbusters
yes.
Afterlife. They showed Eternals, Afterlife, and Matrix Resurrections at the theater before Dune, and she's very intrigued now with Ghostbusters to go see that. So see if we can make the schedules work because it comes out the weekend before she starts her Thanksgiving break. So
There you go. Well, she's off. We'll talk about this later, but
yeah.
yeah, very excited. And lastly, it's Ghostbusters related. Bill Murray is going to be in a Marvel film. Fans are speculating that it's going to be Ant-Man and the Wasp 3 because he did an interview where he basically said, "Oh, I'm in a Marvel movie," but he wouldn't say which one, but we kind of all figured it out based on the clues he gave us. So Bill Murray's in the MCU. You might have heard it here first, or if not, you heard it here again. For the Geekcast, my name is Steady. With me on this episode is a man, myth, and legend. You know him as JC.
I believe Strohs. Let's do this in 7. Let's get 6 and 7 at home. Hashtag for the H. Hashtag bang the can. Let's get a World Series. Let's go.
And last but never the least, the one and only Joe Garcia.
I was banging the trash can for you, JC.
Appreciate it. Embrace it. Embrace the heel, Astros fans.
No, man, I'm going for the Braves. Hopefully, the Braves can get the dub.
You know what? By the way, Joe,
Oh,
it is nice to
no.
see you on this episode after you conspicuously missed last week because 2 weeks ago you're talking so much shit.
No, I said
Sasha
one
sucks.
thing.
Oh,
That's
One
enough.
thing.
That's
enough.
One thing. And I
luck,
was
Jay.
not here because I had to actually work, not because
I
I'm trying to
know.
avoid you.
Lies.
But it was fun nonetheless.
Hey, welcome
Your
back, Ted.
Astros your Astros moved on, and my Red Sox had no business competing. I didn't even think they would get past Tampa Bay. So, in my opinion, it was a win anyway.
Yeah.
They exceeded expectations. Let's put it like that. Their biggest thing was they defeated the Yankees. So as long as we went ahead and dispatched them, it's a win for me.
Have a good night, folks. Be sure to